always knew this day would come.
I got it.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Final Destination Bloodlines made $102 million this past weekend, shattering franchise records and expanding the hearts of fans. With that wildly unprecedented number, we surely have another film on the way. There is no doubt in my mind about that. While we wait for that exciting announcement, however, let's talk about some Final Destination 7 theories. Will 7 be an entirely new story, or will it have some sort of connection to the Skyview Tower collapse? Let's talk a little bit about that. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have spoilers in this video. There will be Bloodline spoilers discussed in today's video, and if you keep watching at this point, it's your fault that it gets spoiled for you. I gave you ample warning. Now, just like the paid actor who looks exactly like me and was wearing the same clothes as me said in the intro of this video, Bloodlines made over $100 million worldwide over this past weekend. That is insane. A 7th installment being announced is likely imminent. Hell, it probably has already happened in the time that I'm recording this video. So if it has, leave me a bunch of comments about it. I love when you guys say, hey, it already got announced, idiot. So what's next for the Final Destination series? First and foremost, we discussed over the weekend during our live reviews that the 7th installment might break down how some of the other survivors of the Skyview Tower disaster were taken out on death's list before the events of this new film. It could showcase more death throughout the past, giving us kills in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe even the 2000s again, possibly in many little segments. It would certainly be a fun new concept to explore in this series while still keeping a lot of the values true to what we know and love about Final Destination, but I feel like it wouldn't be as exciting in the context of the latest film. We already know that these people are going to die. Would there still be tension there if we didn't know if it was going to be like a will they won't they situation? Honestly, I think the bigger question is, do some of us even care? Do some of us just want to see some elaborate deaths be put to screen? Probably. My verdict, however, is I wouldn't mind seeing this concept explored, but definitely in a different series of events versus the Skyview Tower collapse. What if there's some sort of disaster, let's say a cruise ship, for instance, where a ton of people get off after someone has a premonition and they all go home after being traumatized. These characters all slowly start to die in crazy, unforeseen ways as the premonition character goes and tries to save all of them across the world. A lot of these folks wouldn't have a word of warning before our premonition character is able to get to them. I mean, it is very expensive to travel these days. You'd have to write in something where the premonition character is somebody who's already very rich, travels a lot. The problem is the time it would take to travel from one side of the world to the other to potentially save these characters, give them a word of warning, try to figure out how to stop this madness. Globe-trotting Final Destination? I mean, I could get into it, but I definitely think there are some better ideas we're going to explore in today's video. Next up is a direct continuation to Bloodlines. But how would you do that if all of the characters are dead, you might ask Jake? Well, some fans have pointed out that the ending sequence, or the denouement, could be a premonition. Stephanie's finger gets pricked just like her grandma Iris before her premonition, and there are plenty of other parallels too. The train tracks that were also seen at the beginning of the film, and Charlie's date wearing a similar dress to Iris too. So what if the train wreck there was all just the premonition that Stephanie is having, and the 7th installment starts zooming out of Stephanie's eye? She saves everyone, and now we're following a new family trying to cheat death. I am personally on the fence with this theory. There are certainly pros and certainly cons. On one hand, you could write it where Stephanie and Charlie are the first to go. They're able to pass on their knowledge of death's design and Grandma's book to our new characters before they kick off this movie's kill count. Considering that Bloodworth is gone now, someone has to give ominous, eerie advice that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to our main characters. That way you're not following the same people again, and we can watch as new characters fail to prevent their own demise. If they approach it that way, cool, that totally works. But I am concerned that they would want to follow Stephanie and Charlie again in these unnecessary lead protagonist roles. If they come back for an opening scene, that's totally fine, but no one can cheat death forever. If this series gets into a cycle of continuously following the same characters, it ruins one of the best elements of this franchise. Keep Final Destination slightly cynical. Don't mess with this franchise's DNA like that. The other thing I'm not crazy about here is we'd already know what the opening disaster would entail. I think the premonition scene defines a Final Destination movie, and I think we can do better than a train crash. We've already done a few train-related deaths in this series anyways. As a follow-up to what is likely going to be the most successful Final Destination film, I think we can do something a little more elaborate than suburban train crash. Just my humble opinion. So what should Final Destination 7 do if not all of those things? As simple as this may sound, I say just start fresh again with a brand new pocket story. Bloodlines took that approach and it's currently reaping a bountiful harvest at the box office. We just tackled the idea of what if an entire bloodline was targeted by the Reaper, so who else can we throw in there? Wall Street businessmen? A troupe of models? The cast of a beloved American sitcom from the 90s. Okay, that one might be a little too niche, but let's just find different groups of people in an all-new situation where they have to cheat death. I also hope that whatever group of characters we get next explores the various different methods of escaping death's design. I mean, the idea of killing a baby and stealing its lifespan was teased in this latest movie. One might ask if there's a very vile and evil character out there who might consider such an option. Okay, maybe we don't need to go that dark, but we can definitely play around with the science of this series a bit. If you'll bear with me for a second here, I do have a little bit of a pitch for what I would like to see coming up next in the Final Destination series, based off of a new idea presented in Bloodlines. Fan favorite character Eric Campbell is revealed about halfway through the film to not be a part of Howard's bloodline. He's not on Death's list, but still ends up dying in the MRI room because he f***ed with Death's design. To paraphrase the great William John Bloodworth, things get messy when you f*** with Death's design. Actually, is that the line from the movie exactly? I need to see this movie again. So excuse me for sounding like Ben Shapiro for a minute here, but hypothetically, let's say that Final Destination 7 follows a brand new character completely outside of the new disaster. Not on Death's list at all. He's an obsessed conspiracy theorist who studies all of the Final Destination deaths throughout history. Now a new disaster unfolds in the city where he lives, and he sees on the news that there are a few survivors that happen to escape based on a premonition one of them had. The dude has struck gold, essentially. Our conspiracy theorist here tracks down the characters to see them die in horrific ways in real time to satisfy his own morbid curiosity. The problem here is our premonition-having character from the disaster is way ahead of our conspiracy theorist. For the sake of argument, let's say he's a doctor, and he's already tracking everyone down to encourage them to flatline and then be resuscitated. This pisses off our conspiracy nut, and he goes full-on secondary antagonist on us, making sure that Death's design does not get interrupted. He attempts to separate the group, and of course with Death on his side, the conspiracy theorist finds elaborate ways to put these characters within the way of their own end. He can't just straight up kill these characters, so it wouldn't turn the film into a slasher flick. That would be way too simple. Our conspiracy nut here literally wants to witness the force of death acting upon people. It's not the same thing. So you would still get those over-the-top deaths from the Final Destination series that we've all come to love, but there's a little bit of a twist here now. This would all be at odds with our premonition doctor character who's trying to save everyone, although some of the survivors may not believe him. I mean, it would be pretty tough to convince literally anybody to willingly flatline and then be brought back to life. Like, why? I don't think it's too crazy to suggest that this new set of characters just don't trust this random stranger. They don't want to die to then live. That doesn't make any sense. I think this idea could make for a fun reinvention of the series while still having those franchise staples alive and well. There are still a ton of elaborate deaths, a wild premonition sequence at the beginning, and just a new addition of this secondary meta antagonist. I can almost see our conspiracy theorist character here working as an audience surrogate, wanting each new death to be way more elaborate than the last. These are just my thoughts on the freshly resurrected Final Destination franchise, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below on what you want to see in Final Destination 7.
Only new life can defeat death.
What the hell does that mean?
Since our last Final Destination video, Bloodlines has hit another milestone, $186.7 million at the box office. The significance there is Final Destination Bloodlines is now only $1 million away from becoming the highest grossing film in this entire franchise. It will likely hit that later on today. So basically, Bloodlines is going to be the new champion of the Final Destination franchise, meaning that studio heads are drooling over the idea of a 7th installment. We've also had some updates regarding the next movie from the directors of Bloodlines that we have to break down in today's video. Now let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Just to clarify before we hop into this, Final Destination 7 has not been confirmed yet, but it is very likely. We've already covered the box office success of the new film in the intro, but let's analyze it a little deeper. Bloodlines is the most expensive Final Destination movie to date, clocking in with a budget of $50 million, likely due to all of those insane set pieces throughout the film. Totally worth it though. Based on some general calculations here, that means Bloodlines needed about $125 million to break even, and more than that to be profitable. The sixth installment is easily a commercial and financial success, coming in at a little over $186 million, with it becoming the highest grossing film in the franchise today. Unless every theater on planet Earth decides to randomly stop showing it right now. The reviews have also been crazy positive too. Rotten Tomatoes has a 92% critic score that is nearly matched by the audience at 88%. Rotten Tomatoes is rigged though, so let's talk about Roger Ebert, 3.5 out of 4 stars. Metacritic also gave it a 73 out of 100, and YouTuber Killjoy Jake said that this film restored his faith in humanity. And trust me, that faith has been gone for a long time now. So let's get real here, a 7th installment is likely to be greenlit soon, whether you like it or not. It seems like a good time to talk about this, because one of the directors of the new film is already cooking up some ideas. Speaking with Perry Nemiroff from Collider, co-director Zach Lipovsky revealed that he and co-director Adam Stein have had conversations about doing another sequel. He stated, "We've been debating that ourselves, and that honestly at this moment we put every idea that we could possibly think of into this movie. Every anxiety we could think of that would make for a great set piece, every small detail, every big callback that we wanted to do, every Easter egg, everything we could think of is in this film. I'm sure with some time new ideas will percolate. This one with the Bloodlines thing, it just allowed it to be so fresh, do the premonition in a different way, found a really great way of invigorating the character work, and it demanded to be made. We wouldn't want to make another one unless it demanded to be made, and we had another 2 hours of insanity to give to people. I'm sure that can be done, but currently it's a bit of a head scratcher to figure out how, but it'll take some time. The film speaks for itself. Bloodlines has already proven that this series is in the right hands, but this quote cements that for me. Zach understands that you can't just pump out sequels doing the same thing over and over and over again. There needs to be a new path that demands to be taken. Frankly, I hope that Zach and Adam get to do this next one after they come up with some fresh ideas, of course. But there is a really interesting and kind of odd trend with the Final Destination directors that I do want to bring up real quick. Going all the way back to the original flick, James Wong helmed that movie, but couldn't return for the sequel because he had already signed on to direct the sci-fi action flick The One and the Crispin Glover reimagining of Willard. That's the movie about the guy who has an army of rats. My longtime dream that one day I will soon fulfill. Second unit director David R. Ellis signed on to do the sequel instead. Then Wong would return for the third film in 2006, which he then once again handed the series off to Ellis for the fourth film. Dude probably read the script for that one and jumped ship. Then Stephen Quayle, probably best known for his second unit work alongside director James Cameron on movies like Avatar and Titanic, directed Final Destination 5. So to fulfill the Final Destination prophecy, Stephen Quayle must direct the 7th installment. All hail Stephen! All hail Stephen! Seriously though, I would love to see Zach and Adam direct the next one because they clearly earned their spot here. No shade to the other directors in this franchise, of course, but most of them are known for their second unit work, where Zach and Adam have a few feature films under their belts. Their live-action Kim Possible movie was well received, and I literally have their movie Freaks queued up on Netflix during my break today. We gotta bring them back, baby. Before we get into another Final Destination 7 theory here, I real quickly want to ask you guys to subscribe to my gaming channel, GullGotha. We're playing a ton of horror movie-based games over there, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and Alien Isolation, and I'm about to post a video on Dead by Daylight's 2v8 mode featuring Ghostface. Make sure to check out that video later on today, and thank you all for helping us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Now back to the video. Another theory I'd like to share with you guys revolves around one of the only living characters in the Final Destination franchise that we know about, Kimberly Corman. Many of you have noted that since Tony Todd's unfortunate passing, closing, the series needs someone to step in to essentially be Bloodworth's successor. Who else is better suited for the role than AJ Cook as Kimberly Corman? I mean, she is one of the only characters in this entire franchise to cheat death. I think this is extremely fitting, considering that Kimberly is only confirmed alive by Bloodworth in the previous film, undoing that stupid wood chipper detail from the DVD extras of the third film. Oh, just bringing it up again, it makes my nutsack as tight as a drum. Ugh. Stupid wood chipper. So whatever group of characters ends up being on Death's list next could go to Kimberly Corman this time around for the 7th installment to ask for some advice. My only con here is that Kimberly Corman was able to cheat death because she drowned and then was resuscitated. She died and came back to life. Stephanie in Final Destination Bloodlines kind of just did that again. She wasn't out long enough to be considered legally dead, so death was still coming for her. But the thing is, are we really gonna do a triple beat on that one in Final Destination 7? We're just gonna get that advice from Kimberly Corman and our new characters are gonna go drown themselves? And what else would Kimberly's advice be besides doing exactly that and then being resuscitated? There has to be more to the scene than just that. The only way they could do it is they would have to approach it in a very specific way. If our new characters know that Kimberly Corman is still alive out there, they likely know about the events that unfolded in Final Destination Bloodlines, meaning that they may not like the advice Kimberly gives them. The scene would have to play out where Kimberly Corman tells our new characters that she drowned and then came back to life, to then be countered with, well, Stephanie Reyes tried that a couple years ago and it didn't work, she still died. This could create some discourse amongst the group fighting about what would really work or not, and keep the movie going beyond the Kimberly visit. Otherwise, everyone just gets out alive, or we do a repeat of what literally just happened in the previous film. Neither of those options are fun. Like we were talking about before, we need to take a new path that demands to be taken. This is not a new path. So I'm totally down for Kimberly Corman to come back and be our new Bloodworth character. There's just a specific way you have to handle this. If you want to see me talk about even wilder theories for the next entry, check out this video here. My personal favorite Final Destination 7 theory is present in that one. Some final notes here. I'd love to see a 7th installment because I feel like this is one of the only franchises that is being done right these days. With the Scream franchise likely getting a cash grab next year and Saw 11 being in limbo, I'm just happy that one of these beloved franchises is being handled with love and care.
This book, it will show you everything you need to know to keep our family safe.
It's been a few months since Final Destination Bloodlines had a major triumph at the box office, pulling in a $285 million worldwide total. The 6th entry also reignited interest in the franchise after a 14-year hiatus. Yikes. I'm dying to pick up a physical copy of this bad boy on July 22nd. Now fans are clamoring for more as the creatives and producers of this franchise are teasing a 7th installment. While we wait for an official announcement, which is definitely coming, trust me, let's talk about some of the craziest theories out there for the future of this franchise. Some of these theories even come from leftover ideas from the creative team of the previous film. Now, let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. If you're a fan of the Final Destination franchise like myself, please make sure to subscribe to this channel for all things horror, and check out the merch store so you can show off your love of the genre anywhere you go. Channel members even get discounts on the Directed by Wes Carpenter shirt all summer long, as well as a ton of other items. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get into some Final Destination 7 talk, baby. First and foremost, I know that some of y'all are getting antsy wondering why a 7th installment hasn't been announced yet, but to me it sounds like that the creatives are just trying to find the right direction for where to take this franchise next. Teasing more Final Destinations to come, co-director Adam Stein said, "In terms of more, Death's work is never done. There's always more to do. These movies do take several years to figure out because they are such intricate, twisty Rube Goldberg machines, so you never know what the future holds." Take this into perspective, directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein worked on Bloodlines for 3 years before it even hit theaters. Unlike a lot of the slasher films we talk about on this page, Final Destination movies take some time to cook up. Producer Craig Perry has reiterated this same idea in recent interviews. It's an intense process making a new Final Destination film, and this last one had multiple struggles on top of that. We'll talk more about the script that got tossed aside in favor of the story we just got, but you gotta remember they announced Final Destination Bloodlines all the way back in 2019, and because of things like the pandemic and the writer's strike, they pushed this one back all the way to this year. Talking about the next installment, however, Perry said, "Never say never. This is sequel land. I think Bloodlines has liberated us creatively to be able to go to a lot of different places in time, and to make connections that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So it seems like more is definitely coming, and I hope whatever Final Destination 7 does, we end up getting to jump around in time a bit to see different eras of people deal with death's design. That opening scene in Bloodlines was chef's kiss, baby. More of that, please! What excites me the most about Final Destination 7, however, is that there are so many ideas just floating around out there ready to push a whole new movie forward. For example, the original story for Final Destination Bloodlines dealt with first responders that were dealing with death's design in an all-new way. It was announced in March of 2020 that the screenplay for the sixth installment, being written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan at the time, would focus on the world of first responders like EMTs and firefighters. These are the type of characters that get a glimpse of death every single day. Would they have a more intricate, maybe even a more sophisticated way of going about this very dire situation? With the ongoing pandemic and the writer's strike happening in 2023, it obviously delayed the film for so long that they opted to switch it up entirely, hiring a fresh team of writers for a brand new story. While I am happy with what we got in Bloodlines, I would love to see what Marcus and Patrick's original vision for this film would have been. Some background on these guys: they've written multiple Saw movies and even created the Collector duology. They've been shafted with quite a few projects recently as well. On top of their Final Destination script getting tossed, their angry Saw 11 screenplay will likely never come to fruition now that Blumhouse snatched up the rights to Jigsaw, and their third Collector film got shut down mid-production after the producers ghosted them. Man, that's petty. These guys have had a rough couple of years. Someone please let one of their franchise scripts get made. Come on! I am lobbying hard to see them in the writer's room for the next installment here. Now, the alternate ending to Final Destination Bloodlines is the thing that has me the most intrigued. Could we see some sort of different variation of this in a future film? Speaking with Screen Rant, co-director Adam Stein said, "The script went through so many different versions and we explored every different possibility. I think one of the early drafts of the script ended with Stephanie making it inside the cabin and basically ended with her, that she's going to live the rest of her life in the cabin to protect Charlie. It sort of had this depressing feeling in the end. It was like, oh, okay, I get it. She's the new Iris. She's going to live her whole life in the cabin to protect her little brother." Now, if you've been following this page for a while, you know that I'm a sucker for tragedy, and I kinda love this ending. It almost gives off something similar to Final Destination 5. But I will say, the more ridiculous and in-your-face finale that we got in Bloodlines just feels way more fitting for the popcorn movie that certainly is this film. Bloodlines' climax being rendered as one massive mistake made by the characters that leads to their death feels so Final Destination to its core. I also have to mention that Adam Stein goes on an absolute tear during this Screen Rant interview talking about how important logs were to the new film after the iconic opening of the original sequel. Elaborating on this homage at the end of the new film, he said, "Well, we knew there needed to be logs somewhere in the movie. Every time, from the time we got hired, whenever anyone talked to us about Final Destination, the first thing they said is logs. And we're like, there needs to be logs in this movie. How do you do it in a way that feels earned and feels like it does justice to the iconic diva that is the logs?" Listen, I agree with Adam here, but dude is obsessed with logs.
Say logs again. Say
logs
again. I dare you. I double dare you.
I bring all of this up because I feel like we can't just sweep this new idea under the rug, that there's kind of a whole new way to cheat death here. Sort of. Hiding out in a secluded cabin or somewhere without any sharp objects, or maybe even blunt objects that could hit you in the face real fast. Iris didn't exactly find a way to cheat death in this film, but she did figure out how to slow down the cycle. Could we incorporate this element into the next installment of the franchise while once again finding something new? You could have a more tragic tone for a slightly more grounded seventh installment that ends with a character being sentenced to a life in a similar setting to that cabin to protect the rest of their family members. I feel like that's a fate worse than death, and honestly, I'd hate to see it go to waste in such a brutally cynical franchise. While that ending wouldn't have worked for Bloodlines because of its cartoonish tone, could we apply that to another movie in the future where it fits a little better? This could be a really ambitious way to end a Final Destination film in the future, something that's a little more sophisticated and emotional. One of my other favorite ideas floating around about the seventh installment is that the entire ending sequence, the whole denouement, could be one big premonition. Maybe Charlie's date here, or just one of the characters at the house, could have some sort of premonition starting the cycle all over again. Stephanie and Charlie could be saved by a new premonition character, leading to them passing on their knowledge from the previous film to these new folks. Now look, it's still Final Destination, everybody's gotta die at some point, but could Stephanie and Charlie come back just for the beginning of this next movie to pass on their knowledge, like everything that was in Grandma Iris's book? That's how you could pass on the idea of the cabin, slowing down the process of death to brand new characters who maybe deal with it in a totally different way. And you could bring back that super tragic ending we were just talking about if they have that knowledge already right from the get-go. So don't sacrifice the tried and true episodic formula of the Final Destination series, but can we take some of the lesser ideas from Bloodlines and make them the focus of the 7th installment? I think that could make for a great and pretty tragic new sequel. Before we sign off, please make sure to subscribe to my horror gaming channel, GullGotha. We're currently streaming a bunch of horror games there throughout the week, so please make sure to subscribe. So what do you guys think about Final Destination 7? Should they recycle ideas that didn't make it into Bloodlines, or should it just be an entirely new thing that we just don't see coming at all? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.